Hey there, good afternoon. Not going to go live with this, but this is just a recording for um, Scientology Crimes channel, and wanted to do an update on the Delphi case, the Delphi Academy case. So this was the original story that came out of Tony Ortega's The Underground Bunker, and we had quite a bit of discussion on this. In fact, there was an investigator that we had talked to and was looking into this so that way they could further the trial. So it was a Scientology school, and this came out October 24th. Ooh, that was my birthday. Scientology school in LA sued over cover-up of coach imprisoned for sex abuse. It was already a terrible story in 2017 when Randolph Jackson, then a 29-year-old former basketball coach, pleaded guilty to 6 counts of molesting boys at a charter school in San Clarita, a Los Angeles suburb. He was sentenced to 17 years in prison, where he remains today. But wait, what made it even worse was that before he had arrived at the charter school, he had previously worked at Delphi Academy, a Scientology school where officials had received troubling reports about him and a boy at that school. Rather than turn him in, however, Delphi recommended Jackson when he decided to move to the charter school. Now, the law firm of Sari, Boscovich and Allard has filed a lawsuit against Delphi Academy on behalf of the John Doe student who was victimized by Jackson there. Here are 2 paragraphs from the press release the law firm put out this week. The lawsuit claims that John Doe, the former student, was repeatedly sexually molested by Jackson during the 2011-2012 school year. Jackson allegedly exploited his position to isolate Doe, providing car rides and assigning him as an athletic department assistant. The abuse occurred on school grounds, including the athletics office, sports shed, and boys' restroom. The complaint alleges that Karen Dale, the Delphi Academy's head, was aware of Jackson's misconduct. She's no longer the head of Delphi Academy, by the way, but failed to take appropriate action. Instead of addressing the issue, Dale reportedly recommended Jackson for a position at Albert Einstein Academy in San Clarita after his contract at Delphi expired. This recommendation allegedly enabled Jackson to continue his predatory behavior, leading to the molestation of 6 additional boys between 13 and 17 years old at Albert Einstein Academy. Jackson was eventually arrested in February 2015 and sentenced to 17 years and 8 months in state prison. Delphi is still in business in Lakeview Terrace, and it's part of the Delphi network of schools that it headquartered at Scientology's expensive boarding school, the Delphian in Oregon. The non-Scientology San Clarita Charter School closed in 2017, records show. We expect that the Delphi Academy and Scientology will play the usual game where they deny what the school has any real ties to the church. But of course, Delphian and the Delphi Academies can only operate using L. Ron Hubbard's study tech under a license from the Association for Better Living and Education, ABLE, a subsidiary of the Church of Scientology that is staffed only with Sea Org members, Sea Org employees, that's a misnomer, who have signed billion-year contracts. Delphi Academy is Scientology, but will the church send its best lawyers to defend the school? We have our doubts. So here's the entire complaint. We're not going to go through that. Complaint allegations. John Doe was groomed, repeatedly sexually molested, commencing in about 2011, 2012. We'll let you go ahead and read through this. Well, today there was a response. December 12th, from Tony Ortega, The Underground Bunker, again. Scientology school answers abuse lawsuit by blaming the 13-year-old victim. In October, we posted the lawsuit filed on behalf of John Doe, who is suing Delphi Academy, a Scientology school in Lakeview Terrace, over a notorious case of abuse. If you remember, the lawsuit alleges that even though the administration at Delphi Academy had received reports about basketball coach Randolph Jackson victimizing a young boy at the school, they gave Jackson a recommendation that allowed him to get a position at a non-Scientology charter school in San Clarita. Jackson later pleaded guilty to molesting 6 boys, 13 to 17 years old, at the charter school, and he is today serving a 17-year prison sentence. The lawsuit aims to hold Delphi Academy accountable for not protecting its student that was molested and then allowing Jackson to move on to his other victims. We were, of course, interested to see who would end up defending the school and what sort of defense it would be. Now, the school has submitted its answers to the lawsuit. The answer was submitted by attorney Mark E. Lowry and Krista Sebastian of Berman, Schneider & Lowry, LLP, a firm in Riverside, California. And while that puts them geographically close to the Scientology's secretive int base in San Jacinto, we didn't find any previous connections between Lowry and Sebastian and prior Scientology cases. As for the answer, it reads like a boilerplate affair, so much so that it makes some statements that seem inappropriate given the subject matter of the lawsuit. On the one hand, the answer makes generic-sounding defenses referring to claims being outside the statute of limitations or that the lawsuit lacks sufficient facts to constitute a cause of action, the kind of thing you'd expect. But on the other hand, the answer accuses the plaintiff of being careless and negligent in or about the matters alleged. And also that the John Doe plaintiff knew and appreciated the dangers and risks of the activities explained in the complaint, and that he voluntarily assumed the risk and thereby was exposed to the circumstances. What? A 13-year-old boy should have known he was at risk of being molested by a monster on the school faculty? It's his fault for volunteering to go to the school, really? The answer goes on to argue that the plaintiff has not sustained any injuries, damages, or losses from any negligence by the defendant. Really? Being molested isn't enough? But then the answer goes on one better and says that if the plaintiff suffered any damages, it was over something the defendant had no control over. In other words, if any harm came to him, it wasn't the school's fault, they argue. This answering defendant is informed and believes, and based thereon alleges, that this answering defendant owed no duty of care to the plaintiff to prevent an unforeseeable criminal act. Then comes perhaps the real crux of the lawsuit, and the thing that we figure will be argued over most strenuously by both sides. What did Delphi know about Jackson and his propensities? The answering defendant is informed and believes, and based thereon alleges, that responding party or any of its agents or employees was unaware and had no notice, actual, constructive, or otherwise, of the alleged dangerous propensities of the alleged perpetrator, Randolph Clifford Jackson. The answer says, it's not alleged. He was a perpetrator. That's why he's in jail. Well, we'll be interested to see how John Doe's attorneys at Sari, Boscovich, and Allard handle that one. So there you go. There's been some movement in this case, you guys. I'll be interested in seeing. It would be nice. I do not know when the next case will be, but it would be good to have some boots on the ground to be there, so that way we could get a first-hand bird's eye peek at what is happening. So thanks, you guys, and talk to you soon.